Alright, we are at Glacier Peak Trailhead, and we are going to do Glacier Peak, which is one of the hardest mountains in Washington. 36 miles, 10,000 feet of elevation gain, and the high point of the Central Cascades. We're going to do it the White Pass route in 3 days and 2 nights, and let's do it.
Glacier Peak, while being a physically challenging climb, has a pretty nice, mellow approach as you follow along the North Fork of the Sauk River, gaining 1,500 feet of elevation in 5.5 miles.
Alright, we are 5.5 miles in, and we're at the fork. We're over there is the North Fork, so call me. This is where we leave it, and we head up towards the White Pass. We're going to gain about 2,500 vert in about 2 miles, and then we're going to go zoop to the ridgeline. So the fun's over, and the sucking will commence.
This actually wasn't my first time up on Glacier Peak. When I was about 13 or 14, I went with my family as my brother, stepmom, and dad all summited the peak. I, however, did not summit due to this exact section, which completely killed me, like no other hike has done before. So this time, I made sure to keep a steady and slow pace with Thomas to make sure that we felt good for the remainder of the climb.
At 5,300 feet, the end of the switchbacks. Still have a bit more elevation to gain heading that way. But yeah, feeling pretty good. Definitely a tough section here, Thomas. Feeling a little bit winded, but
Yeah.
it's gonna be a little bit less steep here, so.
And the trail grade did lessen as we continued to ascend over towards White Pass. As we ascended, the views got better and better. As you can see, Sloan Peak, the king of the Mountain Loop Highway, is behind Thomas right here. And then, as we got a little bit higher, we could see Mount Stewart in the distance, one of the key peaks of the Central Cascades.
We're sitting at 6,100 feet at a little notch. Got the wildflowers everywhere, starting to see marmots. Gonna hit some snow, and the ridgeline's I think somewhere up there. Once we hit there, we can see Glacier Peak. So it's about 1.5 miles away. But we're making progress, almost 10 miles in. Feeling pretty good. We're gonna make it to the campground in one piece. And yeah.
Following White Pass, we began to see snow pop up on the trail as we made our way towards Marmot Pass. Overall, the section was fairly flat, but there were a few ups and downs, which sucked.
All right, we're at Marmot Pass. It's the Marmot Knob up there. And that's Glacier Peak right there. I think the actual summit's a little bit behind there. You can see some person heading over. Oh, look who we have. Glacier Peak. We finally able to see her. We just climbed a little mountain pass over there. Nothing too crazy, didn't even put on the crown funds. We're gonna zigzag up there, and below that is Camp 1. Then run that shit back again, Camp 2. So we're gonna stay for the night.
At this point, the ups and downs really began to get to us as we slogged over to Camp 1. Luckily, the views of Glacier Peak and the surrounding mountains made everything a little bit easier.
Alright, we're just in between Camp 1 and 2, just past Camp 1. Camp 2 is gonna be around there, about 0.9 miles away. That close, man.
So I lied, and we didn't end up camping at Camp 2. We camped at Camp 3, which was Glacier Gap Camp, but was in fact 0.7 miles and 400 feet above Camp 2. Needless to say, Thomas was a little bit peeved at me, and for decent reason. So you can't hear a word I'm saying because of how windy it is, but I'll do my best with the voiceover. This is me at Glacier Gap Camp, which is 15 miles in and about 7,400 feet. You actually can't see Glacier Peak because it's behind that little hill, and that is where the route goes. And to the right where I'm pointing at is an actual glacier, which is pretty cool. Yep.
All right, it's sunset time, about 9:15. This is looking towards the Alpine Lake Wilderness, and we got Sloan Peak over there with the Mountain Loop Highway. If you look back over there, kind of see the Harvard Central Cascades, Mount Furnow, 7 Feet and Jack. Some of the tougher mountains in there. Can't complain. It's pretty beautiful. We're gonna get up. Oh, there's Glacier Peak. Too shabby. We're looking to get up around 5 a.m. and we'll go from there. It's about 9 p.m. So yeah, what's that? Shit, that's like 8 hours of sleep. That's not even that bad. No. All right, it's 6:10. A bit of a windy night with some shenanigans, but we're here. Weather's looking a little bit overcast, so I kind of want to get up and down, but the forecast called for sunny skies, so I'm not too worried. We got about 3,000 elevation gain and 3 miles to get through, so shouldn't be too bad. Got the spikes on, gonna get the ice axes out. Let's get the shit.
So once over the little hill, we actually descended down, took off our crampons, and got on this rock ledge all the way up to about 8,200 feet where it met with a glacier.
All right, we're at 8,400 feet, so we got 2,000 to go. It's almost 8 a.m. Getting on the glacier up there. It looks pretty good. I don't see any cracks, so we're gonna send it without any gear. Not particularly ideal, but you know, it should be fine. People do Glacier Peak all the time with no ropes. Yeah, we're gonna try to hit that saddle and then keep going up. It's gonna be a slog, but hey, that's why we're here. Let's do it.
Going up a glacier is always kind of a slog, but luckily this one wasn't too bad, as none of the sections were particularly steep and there were no visible crevasses on trail. Once we hit that little notch that you just saw at 9,100 feet, we actually took a left and continued up to 9,600 feet and got up and behind Disappointment Peak. From there, we could see the summit of Glacier Peak and the route upwards.
Right behind Disappointment Peak, which is right there. We got 900 vertical feet to the summit. We're gonna head up the snow up there, meet up with the rock formation up top, and go from there. Kind of see the right to the right. So almost there, Thomas.
Yeah.
Almost there. All right, we're gonna go Glacier Peak. It's fucking windy as shit. Fuck this shit. We're gonna go down. Good times, bro. Good times.
We did not stay on the summit particularly long, as we both shotgunned our beers before descending down and off the glacier, staying a little bit at 8,300 before descending back down to camp and making the long slog down to Marmot Pass, and then heading back over to White Pass, where the next video will take place.
We were at White Pass now, 6,000 feet. You can kind of see Marmot Pass back over there. The descent wasn't too bad, kind of a slog. It's 5 p.m. and it's gonna be kind of windy and buggy here, so we're just gonna go down to the river, probably around 7. Yeah, we saw 17 groups come up today. Jesus Christ.
The descent down to our campground really wasn't too bad, and we even ran into a Marmot friend. Me and Thomas both played him some Net Spent, and I think he liked it.
All right, we are here camping on the North Fork of the Sauk River. Got my food, we got a fire, no marshmallows, but you know, we gotta make do. And then tomorrow we got 5 miles back to the car, and we're getting the fuck out of here. But I gotta say, overall, pretty successful trip. We just did 30 miles in 2 days, so we're both a little bit exhausted, but get some good sleep with no wind, and thank God for that.
Day 2 was just an unbelievably beautiful, hard, yet rewarding day, as both Thomas and I enjoyed the warmth of the fire before he went to bed, and I stayed up, writing in my journal about today's journey under the fire's light.
All right, we are back at the trailhead. We completed Glacier Peak in 3 days, 2 nights. Our final stats were 35 miles and 11,000 feet of elevation gain, quite a bit. My general thoughts, it's a basic mountaineering climb. This was Thomas's first real climb, and he killed it. Second time using crampons. Shit, it was his first real hike of the year. So, you know, if you're in good shape and you got some mental perseverance, you'll be fine. Hence the fucking 120 people going up there the last 2 days. But yeah, great time, beautiful area, and I'm glad we summited. We have the man behind the camera, Thomas himself. Final thoughts?
I thought it was great. I am very tired and very sunburned. As you
Wear
can see-
sunscreen.
Yeah, wear your sunscreen, guys. This is not ideal. I'm all red.
Later.